Alrighty, folks. So I am happy to report that I do kind of. I'm happy to report that I got the brake line kind of running in the area that I wanted to run in. So it took me a little bit of time to kind of get it. I kind of followed the old brake line up until this point, but pretty much I just needed to follow it to about right here. But it kind of runs almost a little bit different because it actually would have been running over to the top to connect to the drum brake. So this right here, I kind of got this. You see, I kind of got it marked where I need to cut it at. Actually, I need to cut it. They recommend that you cut it about a 1/4 inch more than this line here to account for your flare. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to be in the process to do that. Then I gotta put the spring material on there. So, but I got it pretty much running where I want to run it at. So everything's looking good on that end right there. But just the tip that I used, I just actually had to, once I got it to a certain part, like point in my on my work table there, I just had to bring the basically bring the bending tool out here, and then just kind of just do just a little bit at a time, but mostly like when I got down in this area. So like I had to kind of just keep this straight a little bit and then make like a 90-degree bend right here, and then another one here. So this is kind of the area I wanted to get like along here, so to connect there. So we'll see how it works out. I'm about to go in here and get ready to cut it, and then I got to put another end on it and flare it. All right, so I'm about to get to the point where I'm about to cut my new brake line off. So you see I got two marks right there. That mark all the way to the right. Sometimes my camera have a little issue zooming in. Well, basically just trying to focus because I got it on autofocus. But basically that second line, the one that's to the right. So when you read the instructions, they recommend that you add a 1/4 of an inch to wherever you're gonna make your first cut. So that right there is you accounting for the flare. So I got this flaring tool right here from Lilse. This is the 33-260. It's a on the car brake flaring kit. You can use it on or off the car, but you know. So I kind of chose this one because I wanted something that was gonna be pretty like simple and easy to use, and I think this is gonna. So I've already flared this end right here, and that's what I came up with. Got the fitting on there. And so I got a nice little flare right there. So basically, I did this end and I kind of started bending my line from this right here goes to the right side of the T fitting on the passenger rear. So I started doing that, and then I kind of followed the old line to kind of get a good outline. Now your brake lines ain't got to be 100% exact to the factory, but you do want it to, be as close as possible. The main thing is that it makes it from point A to point B, and you don't have any leaks. So hopefully when I get everything back together, I don't have no leaks. But we don't see. But I'll kind of do like maybe a little mini tutorial on how this kit works. So basically, I got my tape measure here. Oh, about to drop that bad boy. But yeah, I got my tape measure here. So I measured a 1/4 inch from there. And then I got this right here. It's basically, this is for like copper or steel lines or whatever. So I want to say I used it for some plumbing projects, but it works out for cutting fuel line and stuff like that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this to cut this pipe in this location right here. and then I kind of go over, you know, how to use this kit. It's not real hard. It's actually pretty simple. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to slide my fitting on here because you want to make sure your fitting is gonna fit on there nice and good. So, and now I'm about to get ready to start cutting this with my tube cutter here. All right, so once you get your tube cutter on there, you're basically just gonna go around it until you get that bad boy cut off. So I'm sorry about the popping noise in the background. That's my bug zapper out up there on my shelf over there. I got the garage actually closed because when it's nighttime like this, they're attracted to that light that's in here, and they just gnats and little flies and stuff. They just come in the garage. So all these lights and stuff I got in here. So just keep going around here and then tighten this wheel here until this bad boy gets cut through. So this thing here makes a pretty nice smooth cut. It takes a little bit to get it. I'll say maybe good like 30, 40 seconds. As you cut it, you gotta kind of twist the wheel. Twist the wheel as you turn it, and it'll eventually break off. Now this right here, this rigid one, I think I got this from Home Depot. I think they're the only somebody who sells rigid. But I've actually had this a while. But I just basically just trying to let y'all know that it don't come with the kit. So it just fell off just then. All right, so next step you want to do is you want to come through, and this right here is the chamfer, or what they call this a deburr. So this comes in the Lilse kit. You just take it and you're just gonna kind of take it and twist it a little bit, and it's gonna kind of deburr those sharp edges off. And then after you kind of do it, you kind of see it makes a nice little hole there. Well, what it does is it kind of widens the hole up a little bit, because it's a little weird, but the hole that you actually get from the factory, I think it kind of just looks a little small on the roll brake line that I got. The roll that I'm cutting from right here, so this is from Inline tube. I think I talked about them like the last video or something, or the one before that. But basically, this hole here, it's a little tricky to see, but that's kind of what it looks like when you first cut it. It looks like the hole is smaller. My camera's not focusing in all that good, but this is like the factory hole there. You see how big that one is, but then it's like when you cut it, somehow the hole, it was like it almost shrinks a bit. So that's the purpose of deburring it, to get the hole a little wider. Or I say get it a little wider, but I guess I mean like get it true to size, get it to the size that it's supposed to be. And then they recommend that you kind of come through and you kind of take a file and you can just kind of get rid of the little rough edge on the they say the outer diameter. So basically you just kind of filing down the rough edges. That's so it's not sharp right there, so it's nice and smooth. And then from there, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my spring. I'm gonna put my spring stuff on. I'm gonna kind of like map that out where I need that to go, guys. I need to have all this on and then the fitting before I start flaring. So that's the most other important part. Like I got a bag over here that's got like a variety of fittings. And this is 3/16 brake line, by the way. But this is the little fitting kit that comes with the set. and you want to make sure that you pick the right one. So, because you know, once you flare it, you can't get the fitting off, and you have to make a new line or either cut a little bit off and go from there. So this is a variety of fittings that fit like the master cylinder, maybe the proportional valve, stuff like that, depending on what kind of setup you got. So we're gonna go ahead on to the next step. All right, so this kit right here comes with 8 feet of this spring material here. So I'm just gonna slide this over the hose. So pretty much what this does, it pretty much just protects your brake line. It's kind of like what they call it, like from like the rocks and stuff. So a lot of times, some people don't have it all over the brake line, but they have it like you pretty much have it like where, like pretty much anything on the back side of the rear end, like where road debris and stuff like that can come up and damage your rear end. You just kind of have it in those areas right there. So most time people let it go to about right there, so you can have room to move your fitting back and forth. So I'm just trying to measure out where, like how much I need to where I'm gonna cut it off. So I'm probably gonna, and I actually got to have a little bit of room for this tool to kind of put the brake line in. So on the top side up here, I shouldn't have to worry that much about having it there, but I'm probably gonna just slide it almost all the way up, and then I'm gonna make a mark to about where I need to cut this off at, and then I'm gonna cut it. All right, so I figured out where I needed to cut it at, and I got my brake line pulled back right there, so I don't cut that off. So I'm just gonna use my little hacksaw here and just cut that bad boy off. I might have to get some pliers to hold it, so I don't cut myself. I'm gonna grab these pliers and kind of just try it again. That way I got something to hold it nice and sturdy. All right, there we go. So I got it cut off. So I'm gonna try to get some little pliers and just kind of, that's what I was gonna do. I think pliers may be the easiest way to go. Like some wire pliers, and just snip it off. I don't know if I got I didn't bring my special wire pliers with me today, but I got something over here. I got a pair of wire pliers, so it's probably easy to just snip that off versus getting a hacksaw. All right, so I'm gonna take my pliers like this and kind of snip this little end off. So it's got a little nasty end on there that don't look too good. Alright, so it went somewhere over there in the garage. I probably should have did it over the trash can. You just want to be careful so it don't pop in your eye. But so this is pretty much how it looks when you're done. All right, so this right here is my line with the spring guard installed. So and the end I'm working on right here is this end here that's gonna connect up to that flexible brake line fitting. So the tool I'm using to make the flares is this flaring kit here from Lilse, 33260. As I showed you guys before, it's got your chamfering tool in there. I've already chamfered it, and I've already used my file to file those, basically get the outside of the tube smooth. And pretty much what you do next, this right here is your fixture or they refer to it as, they call it device assembly. So that's what they call it. You got like a little checklist there. And they actually call these things your forming plugs. But some people refer to them as dies. And then you also got what's called a depth plug. So pretty much that goes like in there and it stops. Once it gets to a certain depth, it stops. So pretty much that's the first thing that you use. But pretty much what you do first is you make sure you got the right end, which I'm using the 3/16 end. And that kind of goes in through this way. And then what you do, you put your, so I'm going to snug this down just a little bit, not a lot. And what you do, you put your depth plug in, and then that's going to stop. Basically, once you get to, you basically put the depth plug all the way in until it stops. But let me go ahead and, I'm going to have to kind of snug this down a little bit so it's even, so it's fitting in there nice and good. All right, so I just had to readjust the tool a little bit, kind of like make sure that this is even. So pretty much this right here, you run this all the way down. And then when it stops, you kind of push your pipe. It's like a little hole in there. So you can see through the hole, that's where you're going to stop your pipe at. And then you're going to tighten, these are 3/8 screws, so you're just going to tighten those all the way down. And then that's the other thing about this vise, it's got a nice little handle to it too, so you can just hold it. So I've made a couple flares with this thing already, and it's real simple to use. I had to learn how to use it myself, but it's real simple. So basically, after you get it tight, the main two wrenches you're gonna be using is a 5/8. So I got ratcheting wrenches. This is gonna take out the depth plug. Sounds like I'm saying depth, but I'm saying depth. I must have got this thing tight because there we go. Just gotta put a little oomph in it. So there we go right there. So that's that. You can kind of see, you see a little bit of it through there. That's where basically this is aligning this up where it needs to be. And then that's what you should be looking at right there. And then you got what they call special punch grease. And it says down there, it says, do not eat. That's what it say. It said don't eat. But this is some grease they got. So you got to take your right die or your right forming tool, which this is for the 3/16, and they got on here, they got it labeled F1 and F2. All right, so I had to change the battery out on this camera, but so I was talking about the forming plug or the forming die. So it's got an F1 and an F2 on there. If I move my camera around, I might be able to kind of get it. It's just these lights. It just take it a while to focus in. But there's an F1 and an F2 on there. That there we go. So you start off with F1, and it points in that direction. And then you start off with F2. Then you go to F2. So you start with 1, and then you go to 2. So that's the end of the die for F1, and then F2 is that right there. So that's like, you got the first flare, then the double flare. So that's what we're about to do. So every now and again, you might catch me doing a little bit of how-to on this channel. You know, a lot of the stuff is pretty much just me, you know, just replacing something or putting something together or whatever like that. But every now and again, I will take a little bit of time to kind of to share, you know, what I've learned or share some of the knowledge that I know. So that's a good reason right there to subscribe to Cool Fred's Garage. And that's also another good reason to like this video. So I'm going to get back to it. Appreciate you guys for checking out the content. This is a part of the rear disc brake and rear suspension series. So it's going to be several videos long. So it's going to be multiple videos basically until I get, you know, this job complete. Everything is from the Wilwood disc brake set, the suspension stuff I did, the control arms, all that stuff. So basically, just giving you guys a little insight to everything that I had to do, you know what I'm saying? That way you know like what a shop has to do, like if you got your car at a shop. I mean, I've been working on cars ever since I was probably like 12 or 13 years old. You know, started working on classic cars, kind of like this, or just anything older that my parents had that we had to fix and get running. But so, you know, I've got lots of years of automotive experience, and I got over 18 years of BMW experience. So that's kind of what I eventually went into doing, going to tech school, and got a chance to go through a program with BMW, and that's what I do professionally. But back to this right here. So once we get to this point here, that's what you're looking at there. And then I gotta get my grease. So I'm making sure I got the right side here, which is F1. And I'm gonna put the punch grease there. That's what they call it, punch grease for some reason. So the nice thing about this is a nice little fixture, a nice little holder. You can kind of hold it. Make sure I'm going the right way again. There we go. And then you got to make sure these two guys here are really nice. I call them guys, but these two bolts here, make sure those are nice and tight so your pipe don't push out. So it's holding that thing in there nice and snug. And then you're going to get your 5/8. I just happen to have a ratcheting wrench, but a ratcheting wrench kind of works better because you can just move it just a little bit at a time and just kind of slowly twist it. And that die is going to push on the pipe, and it's going to mold it to how it needs to go. So I chose this tool because I saw how the other tool worked, and I think I've actually used one of those other tools back in the day, the one that's got the little different sets and stuff that you got to match it up and put it in and stuff like that. But I just thought this right here might be a lot easier. So that's kind of what that looks like when you get done in there. And then you switch to your F2 side. So again, I'm going to put a little bit more grease on it on this other side here. So I think this grease just kind of helps to not mar the tool up. So, because you want to be able to use this thing as many times as you need to for future projects. So you want to make sure you protect the tool. So this right here is F2. So this thing is real simple to use. It costs maybe a little bit more. It was like maybe 60 something, $68, $69 off Amazon. But and there you go. It's a little tricky to see, but I'm gonna get it out of there. But you know, it's real simple to use, and you can flare. You can make a flare in just a few minutes. It don't take that long at all. So it's mainly just knowing like which part of the tool to use and when to use it. And you know what? I said all that, but it didn't really do nothing that time. And that's probably because it wasn't all that tight. So I'm gonna try this again. All right, so that actually happened to me the first time when I got the tool out of the box and started to use it to make my first flare. I guess somehow after I had the plug in there, the like that's pretty much how it's supposed to look when you take the depth plug out. But somehow it slid back. So right now it's got this spring tension on there that may be causing it to go. So I'm basically just doing it again. I'm making sure that these are nice and tight. So these right here are nice and snug. That was the main cause of what I think what happened the first time of why it didn't make that second flare is because it just wasn't 100% tight. So I'm just gonna try it again. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of like see if I can pay attention to make sure it's not sliding back. You can kind of see it through this hole right here. What you're doing. Making sure you got the right side there. So I'm basically just repeating the process again, doing it again. All right, so let's see where we end up at. So I got the F2 die in there now. Just gonna slowly just turn it. All right, let's see what we got now. All right, so it looks like we got something that time. A little tricky to see. I'm about to pull it out of here, but I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna unscrew this and see what we got. All right, so I just took the die apart, and that's what we got. We got this nice flare here at the end, so that's what you want right there. So that's the type of job it's supposed to do when it's done flaring it. Trying to make sure my camera's so there we go. All right, so this last flare here actually came out a lot better than my first flare. Like the end that's on there, it's got a nice kind of like a nice bubble end on it, so it looks very close to the factory style line. So since that's looking a lot better, I decided to redo the other end. So the other end, it kind of like looks like that. So it's flared some, but it's not flared as much as it should be. So I'm actually going back and redoing this end right here. So so I'm gonna basically run down through those same steps. Start off with my chamfering tool. Then I'm gonna flare it. So get a nice chamfer on there. And then I'm gonna take my file and just kind of just go around the edges to make sure they're nice and smooth. Then I'm gonna set it in this die. Well, they refer to this as the fixture vise. So I'm gonna put that in the vise and then go from there and just redo this end right here.